Kung Fu Panda The Dragon Knight Season 3 is the third and final season of the third Kung Fu Panda show. The show has come to its conclusion today on September 7, 2023, and damn, that was quick. It tells the story of Po, Blade, Mr. Ping, and the crew, who travel to England and meet Blade's mother. While that's happening, Klaus and Veruca have summoned an ancient army that could destroy the world, so it's now up to Po, Blade, and the crew to save the day. The first two seasons were decent, and season 3 is the same. It's a decent season and does bring the show to a nice close, but the storyline is good enough, but not anything special. The start of the season was a little bit boring, and there were moments that did feel quite bland, and there were times where it didn't really feel like a Kung Fu Panda show. But it definitely did get better as it went along. The dynamic with Poe and Blade is very nicely done, and there is some interesting plot twists that I genuinely did not see coming at all, especially in the second half of the season. And the finale is definitely a nice conclusion for the show. The storyline at times, while it was a little bit boring, it is quite enjoyable. The animation is really good, and there was a lot of creative fight scenes that were a lot of fun to watch and very nicely choreographed. The characters were good. Poe is good, and his arc in the season was decent, but there's not much focus on him as much as there is on Luthera the Wandering Blade, who is really good in this season, and while she still shares a nice dynamic with Poe, she's actually a very well written character in this season with a very engaging character arc, and personally, I'd love to see her interact with my favourite character in the franchise, Master Tigress. Luthera's mother was actually a much more interesting character than I had expected and shared a nice bond with the team. Mr. Ping was good, but I felt his connection to the new character Ferozon, I'm very sorry if I pronounced that name wrong, was a little out of place in my book. I didn't think it was bad or anything, it just felt off for a character like Mr. Ping. And speaking of which, Ferozon was a good enough character. She isn't anything special in my book, but I think she's an interesting enough character. Rukmini is still good and can be pretty funny at times, but I actually quite like the new character of Okna. She doesn't get a crazy amount of development, but she's certainly very likeable. Klaus was a much more interesting character than I was expecting, and found his character quite surprising in this season. And as for Veruca, she is not in it as much as I was expecting, but I thought she was good enough for who she was in the season. One of the characters who I found very forgettable and very bland in the first season was the character of Colin. I just didn't care for him at all in season 1, but in this season I think he's a little bit more interesting by a slight. I think he's okay, but there's just not a whole lot to him. There is other characters, but talking about them would give away a lot of spoilers. So the characters aren't bad, and the music of the season is pretty solid too. I will definitely say from a biased perspective, I still think Paws of Destiny and the Dragon Knight are quite disappointing for not having the Furious 5 at all. But I will say from a non-biased perspective that they are enjoyable shows that do have their merit. Overall though, Season 3 definitely brings the Dragon Knight to a satisfying close, and while it didn't blow me away, I'm happy to say that I thought it was an enjoyable show with a decent story and characters, but definitely had nice animation and some good music. I'm going to give Kung Fu Panda The Dragon Knight Season 3 a 7 out of 10, and I'd give the Dragon Knight show as a whole a 7 out of 10 as well. Now you're probably wondering, would I like to see another Kung Fu Panda show? As for a long time, I did want a TV show with Po and the Furious 5 that took place between Kung Fu Panda 2 and 3. And to be honest with you, there's probably no point making that series now, especially since we're literally just about to get the fourth movie in a couple of months. And honestly, no, I don't think there should be another TV show. Personally, I think they should just do the Kung Fu Panda 4 and then wrap the franchise up with there. They can do a TV show with the new character that's meant to become the next Dragon Warrior like they did with the Nine Realms for How to Train a Dragon. But personally, nah, I think 3 shows, maybe 6 shorts and 4 movies is enough for me personally. And hopefully Kung Fu Panda 4 is possibly on par with Kung Fu Panda 2. Thank you guys so much for watching my review. Take care everyone. What do you guys think of Kung Fu Panda The Dragon Knight? I shall see you for my next video, which will hopefully be out tomorrow. And until then guys, skadoosh everyone.